Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. In just a bit, I am out the door to check out the new action film Twisters. This is the sequel to the 1996 film Twister. Now this time around, we have a whole new cast, different story. Well, kind of a different story. In the first film, they're trying to get information about, what goes on inside of a tornado. In this one, they're trying to do something similar with Dorothy, where it makes the tornado disappear, I assume. I think it makes it dissipate or something, I guess. Where in the first film, they're trying to get more information to help them predict tornadoes and where they may or may not hit. In this one, they're trying to just make them go the freak away, which is kind of an interesting idea as somebody who lives in the Midwest and somebody who has legit been in a tornado. And I'm not talking about like sirens going off and all that. I was hit by a tornado when I was working for a company called Quick Trip. It's a true story. It happened back in 2003. Tornadoes ripped through the Kansas City area, and I was in that path. So, I'm kind of interested in this movie because, I have my opinions about the authenticity of the Twister because I have witnessed it. Alright, well anyways guys, it's enough of me sitting here yammering on. It is time for me to get out the door because I need to go see Twisters. Welcome back. Just getting home, and guys, I had a blast with this film. This movie was so much fun. It's everything you want from your summer blockbuster. So let's get this started, shall we? We're going to get things started with negatives, then move into the positives to end the video on the ever so important high note. Now, negative-wise, if there's one thing about this film that just stuck in my craw, there's like a villain character, I guess you could say. There's this wealthy guy who's buying up damaged land by tornadoes, and he's a big benefactor of this one group of tornado hunters, and the leader of the tornado hunters is played by Anthony Ramos, and he's the character who gets Daisy Edgar Jones' character back involved in tornado hunting. It's a whole thing. It has a really great intro, which I'll get into, but anyways, they try to create this villain character, right? The benefactor of these tornado hunters. However, they don't ever flesh out exactly what he's doing. They try to create a villain, and then they just decide, you know what, tornadoes are bad enough. We really don't need some weird corporate dude sucking up people's money. The tornadoes destroying everything is plenty. But they build a little bit there, and then they just kind of forget about it in the third act. Then the second act, they bring him up. You get to learn a little bit about this is what's going on. They don't necessarily flesh the character out. You do get to see him on screen, but then the third act hits, and it's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Let's move on to this other thing. We don't need to worry about this whole subplot villain thing anymore. And the thing that bothers me about stuff like that is, why in God's green earth did this character exist in the first place? If you weren't going to flesh it out and do anything with it, then why is it there? Why is this person around? And so really, that's the only thing that bothered me at all, was just this completely useless character that only really existed to show, just have a little bit of tension for the second and first act, and that's pretty much it. And it not even a whole lot of tension. But anyways, that is really and honestly, in my opinion, the worst thing in this movie. Other than that, everything is awesome. I had so much fun with this movie. And this is a popcorn summer blockbuster, but it's not a turn your brain off summer blockbuster. There is some stuff in there that's fairly factual with tornadoes and how they form and things of that sort. And I think that a lot of people who don't know anything about tornadoes, maybe they haven't experienced living in an area where there's a lot of tornadoes, they might come off as the characters, or I should say the citizens in this world just don't care that tornadoes are going on. But see, tornadoes are weird because you could be having a completely normal day and out of nowhere a tornado could form. In the news you might hear about a light shower, and then the next thing you know, tornado. So they're just completely unpredictable. So certain scenes in this film seem very unrealistic to some people because everybody's going to be like, why isn't anyone indoors? There's a tornado. It's because, first off, no one knows there's a tornado, and secondly, the tornado hasn't even formed yet. That's just how they work. These things aren't like hurricanes. They don't happen miles off a coastline because there's no coastline. It's just land. And then crazy stuff happens with cold front, hot front. They come together and bada bing, bada boom, you got a nadir running around. Oh yeah, and also, I forgot to say in my intro, I've never actually heard anybody refer to a tornado in my area as a twister. Maybe that's more of an Oklahoma, Texas thing. But here in Missouri, I hear tornado, and then you get out in the Kansas, especially western Kansas, and those suckers are known as naders. So yeah, you know what? Naders behind me, but fishing's good. Now that is pretty true to the Midwest attitude when it comes to some tornadoes. I will say that 110%. I have spent some time outdoors, and maybe I have been fishing, and you know what? The fishing's really good. I don't care if there's tornadoes possible in the area. We'll just see what happens. Yeah, they did nail that attitude a little bit because life goes on. You don't know if it's going to happen or not. So I could see where something like that comes off kind of unrealistic to people, but I assure you that's pretty well perfectly normal. Back in my intro when I was talking about the tornado that hit the Quick Trip that I was working at. Now, check this out. So that not that same tornado, because several tornadoes hit the Kansas City area at that time. But my grandma she lives in more of a rural part, or lived in a rural area outside of the city, and a tornado, here I go. A tornado showed up, and she just kind of sat outside her house and watched it from a distance, because, what else is there to do on a Sunday afternoon? Actually, I don't remember if it was a Sunday afternoon. But anyways, I digress. We're talking about the movie Twisters. There's a lot of fun stuff here. The sound design, that is one thing I did want to dive into, was the sound design in this film is outstanding. We went and saw this film at the Dolby Theater at AMC. 110% worth it. If you have the big boombastic sound system theaters in your area, that is definitely the way to see this movie. IMAX, Dolby, whatever the big bad screen with sound system, you need to. Because let me tell you guys, there were moments when I was kind of like, this is a little too realistic. This sound is really bringing back some memories, and I don't know if I'm okay with this. And also, the film has some great characters. It's got some good acting. The special effects are very well done. Everything looked very solid and realistic. The CGI was extremely well handled. They blended in the CGI with natural environments, and it looks so good. This is a very, very, very pretty movie, and the cinematography is also outstanding. The director utilized the environment that they were filming in to its utmost fullest. I really enjoyed this movie, guys. This was just an absolute beat the heat, get out, see a movie in theaters, summer blockbuster, like the likes I haven't seen since 1996. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, I say get out there, see this in theaters, try to check it out with the big screen, with the big sound system, because it's definitely worth the ticket to the show. Well, alright guys, that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.